Hi friends. Again, a very warm welcome. We are here to learn something useful. So this time it's 70 Business Analyst Interview Questions and Answers. If you have not watched the previous Business Analyst tutorial or Salesforce Business Analyst tutorial, please watch them now. Links are given in the description box. These questions are a mix of BA process, tools, role and some behavioral interview questions. Important thing is, we have tried to indicate how should we answer them. So let's get started. So question 1. What do you think are the key strengths of a business analyst? Guys, this is a very important and keep it in mind. This is going to be asked in a business analyst interview. Hiring managers want to know that you are aware of the necessary skills for success. You probably have your own list, change the order, but make sure to highlight both technical and non-technical attributes you can bring to the job. A sample answer should include the following. Remember, you can add more things but remember the pattern. First is analytical skills. A business analyst can become successful if he possesses good analytical skills. A business analyst must have the skill and knowledge of analysis. They are required to analyze data, the user or stakeholder workflow, and inputs and other documents, so must know the methods of analyzing data. Second is technical skills. Here, technical skill means to have knowledge of technicalities in the project, which include necessary BA skills including process mapping, flow charting, wireframing. Then we also have good listener and communicator. Requirement gathering is a key part of the role, so the ability to ask the right questions and correctly understand the information received is essential. Also, we can mention stakeholder engagement. Business analysts are likely to deal with stakeholders at all levels of an organization right up to the CEO. Question 2. What are the main documents you produce as a BA? In a project lifecycle there are various documents like initiation document, process mapping, business requirements document, and the hiring manager wants to understand if you've produced all of the different types of documents. Are you capable of not only delivering business specifications but technical specifications as well? If so, detail this to the interviewer as it shows your versatility and ability to cover both the roles of business analyst and technical analyst. Let's see what all documents are used in business analysis process next. Now let's take a look at types of requirements documents. 1. Business Requirements Document, BRD. Also known as a Business Needs Specification, a BRD is the first stage in a product lifecycle. It details the problems that a product, service, system is trying to solve by logically listing high-level business requirements in relation to customers' needs. A BRD is normally prepared by the project manager or business analyst. 2. Functional Requirements Document, FRD. An FRD defines in logical terms how a system or project will accomplish the requirements laid out in the BRD. Rather than define the inner workings and specifications, an FRD focuses on what users might observe when interacting with the system. An example functional requirement might be: when the user clicks the OK button, the dialog is closed and the user is returned to the main window in the state it was in before the dialog was displayed. An FRD is normally written by the business analyst or systems analyst. 3. Market Requirements Document, MRD. An MRD focuses on the target market's needs. It typically explains what the product is, who the target customers are, what products are in competition with it, and why customers are likely to want this product. An MRD is normally prepared by the marketing manager or product manager. 4. Product Requirements Document, PRD. A PRD is used to communicate everything that must be included in a product release for it to be considered complete. It is written from a user's point of view to understand what a product should do. It usually includes the same content as an FRD, but with non-functional requirements added. A PRD is normally prepared by the product manager. 5. User Interface Requirements Document. UIRD. A UIRD describes the look and feel of the user interface (UI) of the system. A UIRD more often than not includes mock-up screenshots and wireframes to give readers an idea of what the finished system will look like. It's written by the user interface design team. 6. Technical Requirements Document. TRD. A TRD contains the software, hardware and platform requirements of the product. It includes requirements like the programming language the system should be developed in and the processor speed required to run the system. A TRD is written by the engineering team. 7. Quality Requirements Document. The Quality Requirements Document outlines the expectations of the customer for the quality of the final product. Quality requirements might revolve around reliability, consistency, availability, usability, maintainability and customer experience. This document can be written by the project manager or business analyst. 8. Software Requirements Document or Software Requirements Specification. SRS. An SRS outlines the features and the intended behavior of a system. It describes the business's understanding of the end user's needs while laying out functional and non-functional requirements. An SRS is related to the FRD and PRD but written with a specific IT project in mind. An SRS is normally compiled by the lead engineer of the project. Question 3. Describe a time where you had to influence your stakeholders or deal with a difficult stakeholder. Answer this one head-on. The hiring manager is trying to assess your soft skills, particularly your communication, collaboration and influencing abilities. Working with people from different areas of the company and perspectives is an area where non-technical skills are key. Prepare a scenario in advance where you can talk through a situation you faced with a challenging stakeholder. Break it down using the STAR technique. Explain the situation or task, outline the action you took and the result you achieved. In general, patiently listening to them and being polite. Make them understand the situation from a perspective they understand. Show a commitment to working with them. Make them realize how their interests will be realized when they are more open and collaborative. Engage them and make them realize that their contribution is valued. To analyze business needs, goals or objectives, suitable technique plays a vital role. There are many business analysis techniques used by the business analyst. Let's discuss some of the most important of them. JAD sessions. A JAD is a joint application development meeting. It is an opportunity for stakeholders with different points of view to come together to understand business requirements and brainstorm what the best technical approach might be for meeting the customer's needs. Requirements workshops. A requirements workshop is a structured and facilitated event to discover, refine, prioritize, validate and discuss requirements with the stakeholders. Process modeling. A step-by-step description of what one or more business users does to accomplish a specific goal. Those steps can be manual, paper-based, or software-based. Interviews. A session with one to multiple stakeholders to ask and answer questions related to any aspect of the problem, project, or requirements. Focus groups. A focus group is a way of gathering ideas and opinions about a particular product or service in a collective group environment. User stories. A user story can be described as a high-level statement of a requirement. Stories encourage iterative development and can be refined as many times as possible to reach agreement and understanding among stakeholders. Brainstorming. A group problem-solving technique that involves the spontaneous contribution of ideas from all members of the group. Storyboarding. It's a prototyping technique showing sequence or navigation through a series of images or illustrations. Prototyping. Business analysts use prototypes to elicit and validate the stakeholders' requirements through an repetitive process that creates a model or design of those requirements. Walkthrough. Structured walkthrough, also known as business requirements reviews, are working sessions where invited participants review and discuss a set of business requirements. They are performed to communicate, verify, and validate business requirements, record all questions, comments, concerns, and suggestions that arise during the walkthrough. Lastly, very popular terms, scenarios and use cases. Use cases and scenarios are used to describe how a person or system connects with the solution being modeled to attain a goal. A use case describes the potential outcome of an effort to fulfill a specific goal that the solution will support, whereas a scenario describes a single way in which an actor can fulfill a specific goal. Scenarios are written as a series of steps executed by actors or by the solution that enable an actor to fulfill a goal. A use case describes several scenarios. It's the time to see what types of tools are available for business analysts. Tools help business analysts better collaborate, collect and sort data, document business requirements, use case analysis, workflow management, and prototype creation. 1. Requirements management tools. MS Word, Rational Requisite Pro, HPOM, Jira, Confluence, DocuWiki, iPlan. Requirements management software is designed to simplify all the aspects of this task, keeping things organized and, most importantly, making sure nothing is overlooked. Since a BA's job is hardly possible without compiling a variety of documentation, the relevant tooling shows up on a daily basis. 2. Modeling tools. Pencil, MS Visio, Star UML, YUML, Lucid Charts, Axure. This type of tools enables BA to simplify the building of system wireframes, flow and organizational charts, process and network diagrams. 3. Project management tools. Microsoft Project, Jira, Trello, Asana, Gantt Pro. As a BA's activity often includes a project manager's scope of work, the associate software also comes in handy. The most complex, and therefore, the most popular are Atlassian's Jira, Trello, and Asana. Each of them allows forming a big backlog, planning a sprint, allocating tasks for every team member, and even setting time limits. 4. Wireframing tools. Balsamiq, SmartDraw, Figma, Adobe XD, Sketch, Mach+. A wireframe can help to define and clarify things. In business analysis, wireframing is often used to create software prototypes or develop code architecture during pre-production. Question 6. What are the various kinds of diagrams you use as a business analyst? How do they impact the work? Flowcharts. These are the diagrammatic depiction of the complete flow of the system. They make it easy for all the stakeholders, whether technical, to understand the operation. Activity diagram. These diagrams illustrate the diverse activities and their flow across various departments. Use case diagrams. These diagrams model the functionality of a system using a set of actions, functions, and services that the system, project needs to perform. Sequence diagrams. These diagrams illustrate the interaction between different objects and the time sequence of the message flow between them. Collaboration diagrams. These are also called interaction or communication diagrams. They are the illustration of the relationships and interactions among software objects in the unified modeling language. Question 7. Can you explain the key roles and responsibilities of a business analyst? The responsibility set of a business analyst would require him to fulfill different duties in different phases of a project. First is the initiation phase. This phase marks the beginning of a new project, and a business analyst carries a number of activities like cost-benefit analysis, creating the project charter, and identify the stakeholders in the project. Second is requirements elicitation. It includes analyze, organize and document requirements, manage requirements by creating use cases, BRD, SRS. Third is execution phase. The responsibilities include explain requirements to the IT and development team, clarify doubts, concerns in the proposed solution, and resolving conflicts and manage communications with the project team. Fourth phase is monitoring and controlling phase. In this phase, the project is measured and controlled for any deviations from the initial plans. This phase runs simultaneously to the execution phase. Fifth and last phase is closing phase. This phase marks the closure of the project. In this phase, a business analyst, presenting the completed project to the client and gain their acceptance, create user training manuals and document project lessons learned. Interview question 8. Who is business analyst? Well, business analyst has become the backbone of every organization. Business analyst is the key role in understanding business requirements and implementation. Business analyst refers to any person who is responsible for performing the business analysis functions for IT system development projects. This includes analyzing business needs, facilitating the elicitation of user requirements, documenting and prioritizing the business requirements, verifying the major project deliverables, business re-engineering opportunities and workflow from business perspective, and facilitating effective communication between business and IT teams. Interview question 9. How does a business analyst make sure that all the requirements are gathered? A business analyst ensures all the requirements are gathered only when it is authenticated and agreed by the business users. The requirements are properly associated with the project's business requirements. The requirements can be executed with the existing resources. All the significant business stakeholders are aligned with the prompted requirements. Interview question 10. Outline your technical skills, business intelligence and/or database skills for example. The more technical skills you have as a business analyst, the less developer time required. Simply put, you'll be more valuable to the organization. SQL skills are the most sought after and widely used, so being able to explain how you've written SQL queries to integrate a database will be regarded highly. You can also cite the specific business intelligence tools and describe how you've used them. If you have used a system the company employs, mention your experience to the hiring manager. If you're not familiar with the technology the employer uses, discuss how you plan to get up to speed quickly. Interview question 11. During the development of a system, how do you manage frequently changing customers' requirements? It is one of the most frequently asked business analytic interview questions. The first task of a business analyst is to draft a document stating the number of changes that are allowed, and after a certain point, no amendments will be accepted. It is vital to get this document signed by the user. In case the change required is accepted, make sure to note down all the changes and find out their overall impact on the project. Calculate the timeline, cost, and resources needed for this change. Interview question 12. Tell me about a challenging project you worked on and how you handled it. The interviewer wants answers to questions such as, what is your approach to dealing with challenges? How do your skills help you successfully finish projects? What is your work ethic like? How do you handle stress? This is the time to display your ability to influence and deal with conflicting priorities. Show how your strong communication skills helped get buy-in on the project and kept it within timeline and on budget. Your ability to manage projects and complex situations and the skills you possess to do this. The approach you use to deal with situations. Your decision-making skills and planning abilities. How the company could benefit from your skills and abilities. Interview question 13. What is your involvement in testing and/or user training? Most employers will be looking for business analysts who have experience in user acceptance testing. Talk through an example of how you've tested a new software to make sure it can handle required tasks in real-world scenarios. This is also a good opportunity to show how you've been involved in user training and demonstrate your ability to articulate the changes and the functionality to the everyday user. Interview question 14. What is the role of a business analyst in an organization? It is the most fundamental question you can expect during your interview. You can answer this question by explaining that a business analyst is a liaison or a link between different stakeholders belonging to different domains in an organization. A business analyst should have the capabilities to fulfill the business objectives and balance the needs of various stakeholders. Interview question 15. How do you see yourself fit for the role of business analyst in our company? With this type of interview questions, the interviewer wants to assess your understanding regarding the job role, and whether you match the company's expectation of the desired candidate. Make sure you also focus on the skills outlined in the job advertisement when you are highlighting and explaining your experience and competencies. Firstly, focus on your education by stating relevant coursework related to the job. Secondly, illustrate your experience, attitude, and skills that make you a good fit for the company. For a business analyst, requirement is one of the most important aspects which a BA needs to manage. An entire project's success depends on the correct delivery, explanation and articulation of requirements. So we need to understand what is the definition of a requirement. A more precise definition is provided by the IEEE Glossary of Software Engineering Terminology and the Business Analysis Body of Knowledge. Both define a requirement as a condition or capability needed by a user to solve a problem or achieve an objective. They also define the requirement as a condition or capability that must be met or possessed by a system or system component to satisfy a contract, standard, specification, or other formally imposed document. And then requirement is also a documented representation of a condition or capability. Now let's see how many types of requirements a business analyst needs to deal with. First is business requirements. Business requirements are typically high-level business goals and objectives. As per Babbitt Guide, the business requirement is defined as statements of goals, objectives, and outcomes that describe why a change has been initiated. A typical business requirement example for a large private sector bank can be to automate customer relationship management systems so that they can offer better customer services and the customer response time improves by 70% in the next 6 months. Then second type of requirement type is stakeholder requirements. Stakeholder requirements are statements of the stakeholders' needs and expectations and describe the features that must be met if the business requirements are to be fulfilled. Stakeholder requirements as per Babbitt Guide describe the needs of stakeholders that must be met in order to achieve the business requirements. Stakeholders' requirements are more individualistic. They serve as a bridge between business and solution requirements. Example of stakeholder requirements. In a bank's customer service management project, one of the stakeholders may state the following requirement. We would like to have a mechanism to monitor the response time for each and every customer support request on a daily basis in order to improve the response time. The report should be generated daily, monthly or on on-demand basis. Third requirement type is solution requirements. These requirements refer to the expected features and behavior of the system. Solution requirements as per Babbitt Guide describe the capabilities and qualities of a solution that meets the stakeholder requirements. Solution requirements are of two types: functional and non-functional. Functional requirements are the expected features of the system. Features like registering a user, making an online purchase. Whereas non-functional requirements and quality attributes describe how well a system will perform when it is operating. Example, every page should load in 5 seconds is an example of non-functional requirement. Fourth requirement type is transition requirements. Transition requirements refer to the requirements to enable successful implementation of a project. Transition requirements are short-period requirements. Once these requirements are completed, these no longer exist. As per Babbitt, transition requirements describe the capabilities that the solution must have and the conditions the solution must meet to facilitate transition from the current state to the future state, but which are not needed once the change is complete. Example of transition requirements can be The users must be trained to be able to use the system effectively, or previous year's data must be migrated to the new system to generate comparative report. Interview question 18. What is BRD? How is it different from SRS? BRD is an abbreviation for Business Requirement Document. It is a formal contract between the organization and the client for the development of the specific product. BRD is a functional specification of the software, whereas SRS is both BA creates it after their direct interaction with the clients. BRD is created by a business analyst after their direct interaction with the clients, whereas SRS is designed based on technical expertise and needs. SRS is derived from BRD. Interview question 19. Can you explain SRS and its key elements? SRS stands for System or Software Requirement Specification. It is a set of documents describing the features of a software application or system. It includes various elements required by the stakeholders and customers to convince the end users. The critical aspects of an SRS are: scope of work, non-functional and functional requirements, data model, dependencies, assumptions and constraints, acceptance criteria. Interview question 20. How can you say that a requirement is good or perfect? A requirement is said to be perfect if it is specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, or in short, smart. Specific. The requirement should be precise and could be documented correctly. Measurable. Different constraints can measure the success standards of the requirement. Attainable. The requirement should be achievable within the scope of the given possessions. Relevant. The requirement must be consistent with the project. Timely. The requirement should be discussed early in the project life cycle. Interview question 21. What is UML modeling? UML stands for Unified Modeling Language. It is a standard that the industry uses for documenting, constructing and visualizing various components of a system. This modeling standard is primarily used for software development. However, it is also used for describing job roles, organizational functions, and business processes. Some of the important diagrams that BA use as part of UML are the class diagram, state diagrams and use cases. Interview question 22. What are the components of UML as you understand them? Be sure to mention components for UML. For structure: actor, attribute, class, component, interface, object, package. For behavior: activity, event, message, method, operation, state, use case. For relationships: aggregation, association, composition, depends, generalization, or inheritance. Other concepts: stereotype. It qualifies the symbol it is attached to. Interview question 23. What are the steps that you need to follow to design a use case? Identify the users of the system. Creating a user profile for each category of users. This includes all roles that the users may play and relevant to the system. Identify essential goals associated with each role. Also, identifying the significant roles. Creating use cases for every goal associated for a use case template. This also includes maintaining the same abstraction level for the entire use case. Higher-level use case steps are considered as goals for the lower level. Structuring the use cases. Reviewing and validating the users. Interview question 24. Mention some of the important points a business analyst must take care while preparing a business plan. While creating business document, make sure you start from small problems. Don't jump to big problems right away. Keep the business sponsors and IT folks in the loop. Make sure your document clearly state exceptions, assumptions and limitations. Sometime you need to keep in mind the legal issues. Business document should be well written for usability and for future projects. Interview question 25. What is scope creep and how can you avoid scope creep? a term that relates to the uncontrolled changes or deviation in the project's scope within the same schedule and budget of the project. Some of the possible causes of scope creep are: poor communication between the project's stakeholders, improper documentation of the project's requirements. Scope creep could be avoided by clear documentation, following proper change management, prior intimation about the effects of the changes to the associated parties, proper documentation, refrain from gold plating. Interview question 26. What is requirement prioritization? What are the different techniques used for it? Requirements prioritization is the process to allocate requirements based on the business urgency to different phases, schedule, cost, etc. There are various techniques which are used for requirements prioritization. Moscow technique, requirements ranking method, 100-point method, Kano analysis. Interview question 27. What are non-functional requirements and how do you capture them? Non-functional requirements and quality attributes describe how well a system will perform when it is operating. Example: every page should load in 5 seconds is an example of non-functional requirement. Non-functional requirements represent the performance level characteristics like how fast it can respond, how smooth is a user interface, security of the application under development, AUD. Non-functional requirements are captured in the SRS document in its designated section. Interview question 28. What is an activity diagram and what are the important elements of it? An activity diagram is a visual representation of the workflow of a business use case. This diagram shows various activities that take place in an organization in different departments like HR, sales, accounts, etc. The activity diagram highlights the differences in the departments. The important elements in activity diagram are initial nodes, activities, control flows, decisions, a fork, guard conditions, join and end nodes. Interview question 29. What is the significance of process design? Process design is something that largely matters in a business aiming to analyze all the challenges to find an effective solution. It is an approach that simply lets them standardize the workflows that largely matter. Boosting the same can simply boost the quality and businesses can make sure that they can get the desired outcome in the shortest possible time. Interview question 30. What are the best practices to follow while writing a use case? Some of the best practices to write a use case are as follows. To become a valid use case, the use case must provide some value back to the actor or stakeholder. The functional and non-functional requirements must be captured appropriately in the use case. The use case must have one or more alternate flow along with the main flow. The use case should only describe what the system does and not how it is done, which means it will not describe the design. It will act as a black box from the viewpoint of an actor. The use case should not have any, i.e., it should be stand-alone. Interview question 31. What is the difference between exception flow and alternate flow? Alternate flow are the alternative actions that can be performed apart from the main flow and can be considered as an optional flow. Whereas exception flow is the path traversed in case of any exception or error. Interview question 32. What does INVEST stand for? INVEST stands for independent, negotiable, valuable, estimable, sized appropriately, testable. Interview question 33. What is Pareto analysis? Pareto analysis, which is also known as 80/20 rule, is a decision-making technique. It is a useful technique for defect resolution and quality control. As per this analysis rule, 20% causes create 80% effects in a system, which is why it is named as 80/20 rule. Interview question 34. What is BPMN and what are its basic elements? BPMN is the business process model and notation. It is a graphical representation of business processes. There are 5 basic elements of BPMN, and they are flow objects, data, connecting objects, swim lanes, artifacts. Interview question 35. How do you decide that as a business analyst you have gathered all the requirements? We can conclude that all the requirements are gathered only when it is validated and approved by the business users. The requirements are appropriately aligned with the project's business requirements. The requirements can be implemented with the available resources. All the key business stakeholders are aligned with the elicited requirements. Interview question 36. How do you perform requirement gathering? The steps are as follows. Step 1. Gather background information. Step 2. Identify stakeholders. Step 3. Discover business objectives. Step 4. Evaluate options. Step 5. Scope definition. Step 6. Business analyst delivery plan. Step 7. Define project requirements. Step 8. Support implementation through SDLC. Interview question 37. Why it is necessary for a business analyst to get involved during the implementation of requirements? Gaining domain knowledge and providing an analytical solution are the 2 major criteria of a business analyst. Hence, during actual implementation of a requirement or use case, a business analyst can help to resolve many business strategies-related problems that may arise during the implementation stage. On the contrary, they can learn from the problems which may help them to provide the solution in similar scenarios and also help to gain their domain knowledge. Interview question 38. What are the problems that a business analyst may face? From the initiation to post-implementation of a project, a business analyst may face the following problems: employees-related issues, technology-related problems, access-related, business policies-related issues, business model errors, change management, cross-team management, communication problems. Interview question 39. What is the difference between business analysis and business analytics? The key difference between business analysis and business analytics is the first one is more functions and process related, whereas the second one is data related. Business analysis recognizes business needs and determine the solutions to that problems. Tools and techniques like SWOT, pessl, CATWOE, MOST, 5Y, etc. are used for business analysis. Business analytics handles data and analyze data to get insights into a business. Finally, it generates reports. Mainly 4 types of business analytics are used, and they are descriptive analytics, decisive analytics, prescriptive analytics, and predictive analytics. Interview question 40. What are the essential qualities of an agile BA? Collaborate with product owner and developers to elicit requirements. Develop realistic functional requirements. Requirement elicitation in an iterative way. Must make requirement specifications, data models and business rules as much lightweight as possible. Understand the agile terminologies as he acts as the middleman between the customer and the project team. Concentrate on the just enough requirement and test criteria to meet the just-in-time delivery goal of an agile project. Interview question 41. Mention about some of the most important agile metrics. The following are some important agile matrices. Velocity. This is used to track the progress of a project. The sprint burn-down metric. This helps to track the work done with the sprint. Work category allocation. This metric helps to get an idea about the priority of the work and work category allocation. The cumulative flow diagram. The uniform flow of work can be checked. This diagram of cumulative flow. Here the x-axis represents time and the y-axis stands for the number of effort. Business value delivered. This is used to estimate the work efficiency of the team. It associates 100 points for measurement. Time coverage. It estimates the amount of time invested in coding during testing. It is the ratio of the number of lines of code called by the test suite to the number of relative lines of codes. Defect resolution time. This is the turnaround time for detecting and fixing bugs. Interview question 42. List the importance of a flowchart. It displays information graphically which is both clearer and easy to grasp. Helps in process documentation. Helps programmers to write the logic. Aids testing and troubleshooting. Interview question 43. What is a 100-point method? This method is used to assign priority to different steps in a process. Each group member is supposed to assign points to different steps. In the end, all the points for each step are calculated. The step having the highest points has the highest priority. Interview question 44. What does SQUARE stand for? SQUARE stands for Security Quality Requirements Engineering. It is one of the software engineering steps that mainly focus on documenting the security requirements of the system. Interview question 45. When do you need to use the Kano analysis? In order to understand the impact of customer satisfaction, a Kano analysis must be used. It consists of 5 requirements: an attractive requirement, performance requirement, an obligatory requirement, indifferent requirement, reverse requirements. Interview question 46. What is the technique known as pessl used for? Pessl is a business analysis tool used to assess the environment in which the business has to be operated. It stands for the perspectives of political, economic, sociological, technological, environmental, legal. It is used to analyze the external environment and identify constraints, opportunities and pressures of the environment from those perspectives. Interview question 47. What is a swimlane diagram? A business process model using swim lanes is the most popular process modeling technique. It shows a sequence of tasks performed by a particular actor or department, triggered by a specific event. Interview question 48. What can you tell me about Moscow prioritization? Moscow is a time-dependent way of looking at requirements priorities in terms of must have, should have, could have, won't have this time. Interview question 49. What is a typical day of your BA job like? Interviewers often ask this question to ascertain your work experience, how you handle multiple things and your perception of the job. Stress upon depicting that there is no typical day for a BA and how varied your work is, through the day. Show your rich experience by explaining how you respond to the emails, meeting with the subject matter experts, clarification of the business flow to the technical team, discussion with the project manager over the project status, preparation, and review of functional documents. Interview question 50. What do you understand by version control and configuration management? Basically, version control is a part of configuration management. Mainly it handles when the previous document changes, whereas configuration management handles the individual component. Interview question 51. Describe a time where you had to influence your stakeholders or deal with a difficult stakeholder. Answer this one head-on. The hiring manager is trying to assess your soft skills, particularly your communication, collaboration and influencing abilities. Working with people from different areas of the company and perspectives is an area where non-technical skills are key. Prepare a scenario in advance where you can talk through a situation you faced with a challenging stakeholder. Break it down using the STAR technique. Explain the situation or task, outline the action you took and the result you achieved. Interview question 52. What according to you are the basic needs of a business analyst to accomplish his/her task? A business analyst can have some basic requirements and they can be 1. Availability of the case scenarios. 2. Access to logical data models. 3. Data flow diagrams of the problems. 4. Reports. 5. Work instructions. Interview question 53. What is the difference between post-implementation and pre-implementation problems of a project? What is the role of a BA in managing them both? The problems that declare their presence before a project is actually executed or implemented are known as pre-implementation problems, while the ones that come after the implementation of the same are post-implementation problems. Well, most of the problems come after the implementation of a project. A good business analyst cannot overcome them all but can impose a limit on the same. In fact, a BA always works to make sure that both the pre- and post-implementation problems can be avoided up to a great extent within the minimum possible time. Interview question 54. Mention the difference between business process improvement and business process re-engineering. Business process improvement implies changing a step, sub-step, or any part of the process, i.e., process is not completely changed. In BPR, we actually study the business and find out what is the best way I can carry out the process and change the whole way the process runs. Interview question 55. How do you see your future as a business analyst? I have always liked the career of business analyst, not just because of the management perspective but also because of the responsibilities that would be held in order to make the entire project successful. Growing with the organization's success as a more prominent and effective analyst has always been in my mind. I would also like to take up the BA certifications in the near future. This would help me grow in a field that I like most, in a more professional way. Interview question 56. What is the basic difference between a requirement and need from a business analysis perspective? Needs are high-level descriptions of the upcoming goals of a business, whereas requirements are the representation of the complete explanation of that business needs. Interview question 57. If there are multiple stakeholders in a project, how do you influence them? Also, explain how you would work with a difficult stakeholder. With this type of business analyst interview questions, the recruiter is trying to understand how you implement your various competencies, especially communication, negotiation, problem-solving, decision-making, influencing, and collaboration skills. As a business analyst, you will deal with various people at different positions with distinct personalities. This question is crucial as it conveys whether you can successfully navigate interactions with different stakeholders or not. Dealing with difficult stakeholders is a significant responsibility for any business analyst. Use the STAR method to explain the situation you were dealing with, what your task or role was in the case, outline the action you took to resolve the problem. Finally, describe the result and leanings of your actions. Interview question 58. What are personas, and how they are useful in user-centered design methodology? Personas are created in place of real users to understand their behavioral patterns in different scenarios. In user-centered design methodology, a system is developed, keeping the viewpoint of end users in mind. Personas help create such systems. Interview question 59. What is your biggest achievement? Answer. You might consider winning an eating competition to be your greatest achievement, but keep your answer to this question work-related. Tell a story about a recent work success that shows the interviewer what benefits you'll bring to the company. A good answer contains a problem and your solution, such as the following. In my previous position, I identified a major issue with inventory control. The system wasn't keeping close enough track, and the company was short on the product each month. By investigating 12 months of previous data, I was able to identify the problem and implement a new control measure which allowed us to track the product more closely. From that point forward, inventory was no longer an issue. Interview question 60. What is a flowchart and how do you use it? A flowchart shows the flow of systems using diagrams and signs. Mention how you have used one to make systems understandable for stakeholders. Interview question 61. How is a data analyst different from business analyst? Data analyst has the ability to solve problems and can do data analysis. Data analyst performs more operationally in the organization. Data analyst is an expert in statistics, SQL, data mining, etc. Whereas business analyst needs more of decision-making skills along with data visualization skills. Business analyst performs more strategically in the organization. Business analyst is an expert in business intelligence, data warehousing, analytics, etc. Interview question 62. What is the role of a business analyst in a project? The most important business analyst interview questions are about the role of a business analyst. A business analyst is needed from the kickoff to the execution of a project. During the project kickoff session, sometimes technical queries arise from stakeholder and client side. These queries are solved by a business analyst as the technical project team is not involved during this phase. The next step after the kickoff session fundamentally involves some gap analysis, business process analysis, documentation, SAL review, project scheduling and of course preparing requirement specification documents, which is all done by a business analyst. During the development and testing phase, a business analyst plays an important role in resolving any requirement-related issues from the project teams. In addition, he can authenticate whether the requirements are properly executed and tested considering different functional and non-functional scenarios. In a waterfall model, new requirements or alteration of requirements can be requested from stakeholders since varying business demands. In such a situation, a business analyst can handle this change request with appropriate authentication and analysis. Interview question 63. What is CATWOE and how it helps in business analysis? CATWOE is an abbreviation for customers, actors, transformation process, worldview, owners and environmental constraints. It helps in making the decision in advance. It analyzes how the decision has an impact on customers. C. That are involved as actors. A. What unique transformations T. will occur that may affect the system, global representation and worldwide. W. Matters, who will be responsible, ownership. O. For the business and how will the environment, E. affect to the project, business carried out. Interview question 64. What are the benefits of business process modeling? Benefits of business process modeling are: it is used to represent the understanding of business processes. It provides reliability and monitors the processes of the project. It is used to find and remove errors. It gives a way for a clear start and end for the process without interruptions. Interview question 65. What do you mean by a feasibility study? The requirements and queries of the project should be identified and understood by a business analyst, and he should set a scope for the business queries. The feasibility study is to recognize the possibility, success rate, of the planned idea for a business query. Interview question 66. How does a business analyst perform risk management in a project? A risk is defined as an indeterminate event that is responsible to threat the existing business which can cause an impact on profits of the business. Business analysts can use risk management techniques such as risk avoidance, reduction, transfer, and acceptance. Business analysts can recognize, analyze, assess and control the risk in the business. Interview question 67. What do you understand by the term benchmarking? This is an example of a technical question. Interviewers ask technical questions to help them understand your qualifications for the role. Benchmarking is actually determining the performance of an organization to compete in the industry. In this method, a company may quantify its policies, performance, rules and other measures. Benchmarking means setting a standard. All of the organization's processes, policies, programs, and other operational parameters are then measured against the benchmark. This provides the leadership team with an assessment of whether the organization is exceeding expectations or underperforming against the standards they established. Interview question 68. How do you handle situations when a business stakeholder changes the requirements for a project on which you are working? This is another question that has an element of a behavioral question in it. It presents you with a scenario and then asks you to respond to it. You can phrase your answer on either direct experience you've had with a similar situation or by projecting what you would do if you encountered a new situation. Example: as the change is a constant, especially in the role of a business analyst, while I try to scope the project completely, change invariably occurs. When this happens, I meet with project stakeholders to discuss the new parameters to both confirm the changes and appraise the team of changes impacting the project. I then publish the meeting minutes to confirm our agreements so everybody is on the same page. Interview question 69. What is the significance of reporting in the business analysis according to you? Reporting is the basis of every action taken that can affect business. It simply let the others pay close attention to the facts that need to be strengthening for enabling the businesses to keep up the pace. Because analysis is a task that actually aims to find the best solutions to the issues a business is generating, there is always a need to explain the problems first and their causes. Reporting always makes sure that businesses can get the best out of the efforts with the help of reporting. Interview question 70. Do you think IT plays an important role in business analysis? Of course, in the present time, everything is based on technology, and without the same, it is not possible for businesses to get the best out of their investment. There are several technology tools that are helpful in this domain, and businesses should pay close attention to them and make sure those handling analysis tasks must have access to the same. Friends, this tutorial is an effort to help you for Business Analyst Interview. We hope this proves to be helpful for those who are thinking or planning to become a business analyst. Please write in the comment if you want something similar or different content. And please, don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching and loving the videos. See you in the next one.